in the transition, I wanted to introduce Janet to you all. Janet is a retired educator, and she's an education technology consultant and trainer. And I have a bunch of people in Texas I can see. You might have seen Janet at a conference or so. She presents and trains on a lot of different things all the time. Super, super fun. And she is going to talk to us about Nearpod. So excited to learn from you, Janet. I'm going to stop sharing and hand it over to you.
All right. So let me share my screen. Don't look how cluttered it is. And I'm excited to be here. Can you hear me?
Yes, you sound great.
All right. Well, I'm JanetCorder, and I live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, just very close to Amanda. And I'm retired. I spent 33 years in education, and now I'm a consultant. And this is my contact info. Please follow me on Twitter. That's my huge PLN where I learn tons of stuff every day. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about Nearpod, which is one of my favorite tools. And I'm going to show you a little bit about Nearpod, especially for those of you that have never used it. And then I'm going to talk to you about how you can use Nearpod with Bulb. And there's some unique things that you can do that you may not have thought of. So what I need for you to do is open up another tab. And if you're on a Mac, you'll just hit the escape key and it'll shrink your screen down and you can open another tab. Or if you're on a PC, the minus button in the top right corner, or you can use your phone, an iPad, or some other device. Nearpod works on any device that hits the internet. So if you'll go to join.nearpod.com, and the code that you're going to put in is EVSNQ. It is not case sensitive. And I'm just going to show you a little bit about Nearpod, and then I'm going to go into using Nearpod with Bulb. Now, what is Nearpod? It is a presentation piece, software package. There's a free version and a paid version. The free version is great to start with. You'll probably, though, want to get the paid version because there's so much more and the storage is so much more there. The neat thing about it, I know there's tons of ways to present information. There's PowerPoint, there's Google Slides, there's emails, there's all these different ways to present information. But what I like about Nearpod is that you can build in assessments, and those assessments are awesome. You get a report, so you see how all your kids do. Not only can you have assessments built in to your presentation, but Nearpod provides tons of content, things like 3D images, virtual field trips, Microsoft Sways. And if you're in the lesson, you're probably seeing a spider, and you're probably going, gross, I don't want to see this spider. When I taught middle school for, it seems like 300 years. And if you are waiting on everybody to get logged in, those middle schoolers that are already logged in are kicking each other under the table or poking at each other. So anytime I do a presentation with students and they have to log in, and it doesn't matter what device, what program it is, if I can give them something to keep them busy until everybody gets logged in, it's awesome. So this 3D spider is one of the tools that's available on Nearpod. And so I'm going to minimize my screen here, I think, and get into, let's see if I can minimize my screen here. Let me there. And I'm going to get into Nearpod from the teacher point of view. And so this is my lesson. Hopefully there's a bunch of you in, and at the bottom it tells me I have 34 people, so that's awesome. So if you didn't play with this spider, you can move him around and you can blow him up, and the kids love it. They just absolutely love those 3D images, and there's tons of them built in the Nearpod. All right, so this slide contains audio. So what I've done is I've taken an old PowerPoint over predator and prey, and I've turned it into a Nearpod. And one of the neatest features about Nearpod, especially for your ESL, your special needs, or your early learners, is the ability to add audio. So you can read the slides. So I hope you push that.
Good morning, students.
That's me introducing the lesson. Isn't that exciting? So, but for my little ones that may need something read to them, or my ESL learners, that's an awesome tool. All right. I have put a poll inside of my Nearpod. This is one way that I like to gather, pre-assess my students. What do you know? What do you remember from last year? So if you'll very quickly answer this poll. Okay. I see we're all over the place. We've used it a little bit. We've seen it, never used it, or we have some experts in here. And one of the neat things about it is I can click on my screen. I can click on that graph, that pie chart, and I can share that pie chart with all of my students. And traditionally across the United States, interpreting charts and graphs is one of the lowest areas on standardized tests. So with Nearpod, I can push out these pie charts and we can talk about them, and hopefully that will help on that standardized test. So this gives me an idea of where my students are. Now, my favorite way to pre-assess students is by drawing. So I want you to draw, this lesson's on predator and prey. I want you to draw what you think a predator looks like. Now, I'd like to give you 30 minutes, but I can't. Bree's only giving me a few minutes to talk. So if you're on a touchpad, a touch screen, an iPad, or a phone, it's really super easy. If you're on a trackpad, I've found for adults it's more difficult, but our kids have no trouble using a trackpad. And so if you've been using Nearpod, one of the newest features is that you can watch while your kids are drawing. So if they're working out a math problem, you can see maybe they miss a step right at the beginning, so you can stop them while they're in progress. So I love to do the drawing with my kids. And go ahead and hit submit, even if you're not through, because we're really pressed for time. So I can go in and I can click on this one right here and hit the share button, and it goes out to everyone's screen. So when I say I use this for pre-assessment, I would have M, whoever M is, tell me what makes this a predator. What is it? Is it the sharp teeth or the scary eyes? So I can look at my students' drawings, and Tanya says that Laura is a predator. I don't know that I want to know why Laura's a predator, but we'll move on. And so on my screen, I see every student's drawing. And that way I can tell, do they know what a predator is? All right, so this is a PowerPoint slide that I used that I originally had. So we would talk about these pictures and what makes them a predator. And then this is a PowerPoint slide that I put into a Nearpod. These are the characteristics. Now I want you to circle the predator in each sentence. So I can use that drawing tool for all kinds of things. I can have them annotate a map. They could draw the 13, color in the 13 original colonies. They could underline the nouns in red and the verbs in green. All kinds of things for my students they can do. So they can annotate on top of an image. I can give them a blank drawing screen. Y'all are really gifted here. I can eyeball this and I can tell, oh, my kids know what's happening. All right, on the next slide, and we're having to go fast, sorry. This is another 3D image. And so what I want you to do is take that shark, you're gonna love this and wish you were at the beach today, is make him face you and blow it up until you see his teeth really close. This would make me never want to go in the water again. And the kids just get freaked out. Look at those things. They look like needles or nails. So that's why, sharks are such huge predators and why we should be afraid of them. Or in my opinion, we should be afraid of them. They love the 3D images. And there's RNA and DNA. There's different archaeological places, all kinds of 3D images built in the Nearpod. All right, then you can have a quiz. There's another assessment. I can have up to 50 questions in my quiz. I'm really nice to y'all. I'm only giving you one question. But all of these types of assessments and these tools like the 3D images and the virtual field trips and all that are built in the Nearpod, and you just add them into your lesson. So as the teacher, I see how everyone does. At the end, I'm going to get a written report of how my kiddos did. I can share out that graph with my kids and we can talk about it. And this last, I think this is the last slide. No, this is what's called a collaborate board. And so this is one way for me to gather input from every student. And so I want you to click on this little blue icon image and search for a prey. Now, if you put in the word prey, you're going to get the movie. So put in an animal that you know is a prey. And if we had time, I would have you explain what that animal is and tell me what makes that animal a prey. Donald Trump, thank you, DeMarcus. A praying mantis. Okay. Okay, here comes a deer, shark. And David is correct with his shark image because a shark can be a predator and it can be a prey. All right, so I can have my kids go out and pull in images, or they can put in text. If they're on iPads or some sort of a computer or that laptop that has a camera, they can take pictures. But this is one way to get input from every student. And then this is one of the newest features they have, and it's matching pairs. And this allows the students to do the old matching game that we used to love to play. And I have done this with pre-kindergarten kids up through college students, and they all love the matching pairs. As a teacher, I can see how many attempts you make. And that way, I know if you got 12 of them correct, but it took you 50 tries, you're just clicking away. You're not even reading the content. So this is matching pairs. Very simple to do. It's all part of Nearpod. Built in. I see some of you are making matches. Now, as the teacher for remote learning, this is awesome because I can tell who's doing something and who's not. And so I can send a private message, or I can contact mom and dad. I can do whatever if these kids aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. But I get a report at the end that shows me everything they do. So if I want to use it for assessment purposes or just to track growth over time. Okay. All right. So that's what matching pairs looks like. And now I told you there's a free version and a paid version. I'm going to give those of you that don't have Nearpod at your school, if you will, you just click on this bar at the bottom, open the PDF. Either take a screenshot of this or take your phone out, or I guess we could put it in the chat, can't we? They have to go to nearpod.com/redeem, and the code is NP/JanetCorder. That'll give you 3 months of the paid version for free. So I'm going to see if I can put this in the chat. If I can find the chat.
I'll do it for you, Janet.
Oh, you're the best. You're the best.
I'm here for you.
I'll give you 3 months for free, and that way you can experience all of the huge bells and whistles. The free version is awesome, and that's what I tell people to start with. But once you get to be an expert, you're going to love it. So while that's still there, Nearpod is an awesome tool to present information to students, which is totally different from Bulb. Bulb is a way for you to curate things, and they're both two of my favorite tech tools out there. How can we mesh them together? From the student point of view, it's probably not something that your students will mesh together, but for you as an educator, those two tools work very well together. So I'm going to flip over to my Bulb account, and I have built inside of my examples, I have just an educator portfolio. And this is not a real one. This is just a fake one I created for this session. One of the things, there's two ways you could use Nearpod, in my opinion, as an educator in your portfolio. So you really kind of have two portfolios. If you're a classroom teacher, you're probably going to have some sort of portfolio where you're gathering examples of student work, certificates from things that you have attended, workshops and things like that. And you're using that for evaluation purposes for you. You're sending that to whoever your evaluator is so that they have proof that you have attended professional development, that your students are making growth, that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. So that's one way. One type of portfolio. The other type of portfolio is maybe you're a classroom teacher, you just got your master's in administration and you're looking for that first assistant principal's job. So you need to build a portfolio that shows how awesome you are. And both of those types of portfolios for an educator can mesh with or blend with Nearpod. So let me show you. So I've got my educator portfolio and I have an all about me page. Okay, have all about me, all my information. Click off of it. So it's all my information and my picture, just like you normally would have on an all about me page. And then I would list out all my presentations that I've done. Okay. But here's where I might put in Nearpod. I have my goal, and if you're in Texas and you're doing the T-test, you're going to have different goals. And I'm sure every state, and I'm assuming every country, you have some sort of goals that you have to accomplish. So you're going to have your goals. You could make Nearpod, learning Nearpod as one of your goals, as an action plan, but as evidence, you could link to some of your Nearpods. And I'm going to show you how to do that, because one thing about Nearpod, since it is presentation software, it does not, that presentation stays in your account, but it's hard to share it out with people that don't use Nearpod. So I'm going to show you how you can put it in as evidence of you attaining your goal. Come on, little network a little slow today. Now, one of the things, if I am turning this into my evaluator, or I'm trying to get another job, so I'm going in and I'm presenting my portfolio to that team of people that are interviewing me, I can put in presentations, my Nearpod presentations. Now, I would put them in as a PDF, and the reason I would do that is that if I put them in as a PDF, they're permanent. 3 years from now, somebody can go in and look at that, and all of that content is there. If I put it in as a live Nearpod, it may not be there in 3 years. So I would make a PDF of it. And the good thing about Nearpod and PDFs is that all those links, if I have a link to a website, it's in the PDF. If I have a Collaborate board, it's in the PDF. So all of my content will be there. So I could, on either case, where I'm trying to prove this is what I do with my students, I can actually put in presentations that I have used with my students, and I can embed them into Bulb as a PDF. I can have a ton of them, and that's going to show my evaluator, or it's going to show those people who are interviewing me, hey, this person really has some cool presentations. These are engaging. These are things that kids are going to want to view. And then the last way, this would be if you're trying to show your evaluator that your kids are making growth, is one of the things that you can do in Nearpod is download student results, student reports. So you could actually put those reports in there, and you could show growth over time by having those reports in there. I would not do that on a portfolio where I'm going out to get a job, because it has student names associated with it. But I definitely would use that for things like my teacher evaluation. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Bulb, and I meant to Nearpod, get these two together here. Do we have any questions yet, Miss Freya? Or are they just asleep by now?
No, I think they were having fun playing with Nearpod. So we do have a couple. So Save your Nearpod presentation as a PDF, download it, and then upload the PDF to Bulb. That's
Yeah.
correct?
Okay.
Yep.
And here, if you, whether you're new to Nearpod or not, a lot of people don't realize, how do I do that? How do I get my presentation to a PDF? And it's right here. You have these, when you hover over, these are all my lessons. When I hover over one, I get these 3 dots, and one of the options is export to PDF. Now, not only would I do that to put that into my Bulb portfolio, I would do that for that student who their IEP says, you must give them a written copy of everything you do. Because not following those special ed guidelines can get you in big trouble. And so this is to export your presentation as a PDF. That's going to be a printable document. So that's going to help you with meeting those modifications for students. But also that way I can take that PDF and embed it in Bulb or in anything else. And it's a permanent copy that someone can look at and still have access to all the links and PDFs and everything that's in there. So I would just export it as a PDF, and then when I'm in my Bulb, just attach it. Okay. I have 1 minute.
I know.
What else? Are there any other questions?
Yeah, someone in our audience who uses Nearpod in their district, he said Nearpods work really great for distance learning. It's friendly for students and great reports for teachers, as you were showing, Janet, not only to be able to have those reports to inform learning, but then to be able to even capture those to show in your portfolio as an educator on what impact you're making. And so David was just saying that they're going to be using it in the first 3 weeks of their new school year. So that's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of people, you know, a lot of your technology companies during the COVID pandemic since March were allowing teachers to have the premium version for free. And Nearpod was one of those companies. I haven't heard if they're going to continue that because we still don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But even if your district doesn't purchase it, use the free version. But also where I export to a PDF, here's where I can, one place I can get my reports of student data. And this is the one we just did right here, the Bulb presentation. So I had 34 or 44 students in there. Woo! And so I have all of this that tells me, like, here's how my students did on the quiz. And then I get that chart so I can see that. Here were your matching pairs. And I could see how well you did. I can download those as a PDF. Here's another nice thing. I can download it as a PDF or as a CSV, so I can put it into a spreadsheet, and that way I can, you know, move the columns and things like that. One thing that I appreciate is I can also do a student view. So if I have a parent coming in for a conference and I only want to pull that child's report, I can do that because, you know, trying to cross out names and stuff on a report so you can show a parent their kid's work is a pain. And this will allow me to just download one student report. So I can, but if I download that as a PDF, I can stick that right into my Bulb portfolio.
Yeah, that's great. And you can do from a CVS too, and download it into a spreadsheet. You can upload this spreadsheet in there. So if you wanted to adjust and only have a couple columns or take out student names to put in your portfolio or anything like that, that's another great way. And we'll post your Bulb page link. Somebody was asking for that. Someone else asked, can we do the teacher paced one while we're in distance learning?
Yes. The teacher paced one is what we just did. That means my students are with me now.
So do you do it while on Zoom and like we did in this session?
Yes. And I will tell you, I'm a Nearpod Pioneer, which is an ambassador. It's like a bulb head. And so I get to see things early. And if y'all tell everybody that I showed you this, I don't know if we're supposed to be sharing it or not, but it is coming out. There's a new feature. And I haven't played with it because it just came. I just got it like Monday, and I've been doing trainings. Let me go to my library. Um, when I go to one of my lessons, right here, live participation plus Zoom. So they
Oh,
have
wow.
partnered with Zoom, and I don't know how. I haven't played with it. It's, you can tell it's in beta format, but that's going to make it even easier. But the way, like the schools around me, the way they did distance learning, remote learning in the spring, kids were just doing things at their own time. From what I understand, most districts now are going to be, you have to be logged in at a certain time because the school has to take attendance. So the Zoom would work, the live participation would work right then. But if your students are, oh, you just have it turned in by Friday, you would do the student paced one. That means they go on their own. The negative to that, it works great in centers and all, but I like to know what my kids are doing as they do it. You know, if they're drawing, if they're working on a math problem, I want to see as they do it. I don't want to see 4 days later that, oh my word, they missed that first step there. So, I mean, there's pros and cons to both, but definitely you can do live participation through remote learning. We just did it. It works with Google Meet. It works with Microsoft Teams, whatever you're using.
That's great, Janet. And then someone had asked, so how do students integrate Nearpod and Bulb, or what's the student use of Nearpod, and is there any application of do they ever create Nearpods on their own? Do they have any exports of what they might put something from a Nearpod in their portfolio? What's your thoughts on that?
They can. I've seen some teachers, especially those that teach secondary, have their kids create their own, just like you would create a Google slideshow or a PowerPoint. They would have to have an account, which means they'd have to have an email address. So a lot of times with your little ones, that's, you know, not an option. They would be using the free version, but you still get, you know, the draw option, you get the collaborate board, you get so many things inside the free version. The biggest negative to the free version is storage, because it is, you know, it's limited. But I have seen teachers that use Nearpod and have their kids create. It's no different than them creating any kind of presentation. But the difference is you have those assessment pieces built in. And so those that do that might have the kids create, and then they actually present the lesson to the class and have the assessments built in.
Got it. And so that could be something if the kids create a presentation for a skill that they're teaching their class, they could download it like the teacher did as evidence into their portfolio and piece. And I know you were showing like the individual student report, and I could maybe see in some scenarios that if you were working on a certain goal with the student, they were working on something, and that report out of Nearpod showed that student's progression in learning, that might be a piece of evidence that they might want to put in their portfolio as well. So that could be another option.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to be creative. You can,
yeah,
you know, with how you're mixing things up. But I especially see Bulb and Nearpod working on just that teacher portfolio, that educator portfolio, because it does show, it shows what you're teaching, how you teach, and it also shows student growth and student, you know.
Yeah, we actually are working with a school we were just planning a couple days ago, and we're building a Nearpod to teach Bulb to students. So using that as just another platform to, you know, being able to do in kind of a live paced way of getting them up and going the first day of school. And using a Nearpod to just introduce Bulb to students. So could be another way. And as we create those resources, kind of a good plug for Bulb Heads. Bulb Heads, as Janet had said, is the Bulb kind of ambassador program. If you are interested in connecting with other educators who are using Bulb and digital portfolios, and you're not subscribed, or excuse me, have not applied to our Bulb Heads program, we'll put it in the chat window. I encourage you to do that. And we put out different resources all the time. And so things like how do you use, building a Nearpod to introduce bulb might be a resource that gets pushed out. And Amanda and Janet and a lot of our presenters through LearnFest are all our bulb heads. And so they're a great wealth of knowledge and connection and experience. So I encourage you, if you are not one, you should join. It's a great program. So Janet, this has been awesome. I actually took a bunch of notes. I'm super excited. I learned a lot of new things. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
And